Hi, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do a video on values and what values, like just how to identify your values, because if there's something I've learned from this year, it's that I like learning stuff about myself and like a cognitive understanding. There's something that's come up on my camera, I'm just going to let it be. And a cognitive understanding of like not only other people but myself, and where it just helps me understand on that cognitive level like what like to do, and just like a deeper understanding of life and just direction. It gives me a bit of direction, a bit of understanding, a bit of just helps me navigate life in a better way. Because if you don't know, like on a conscious level, sometimes like we all work on a subconscious level, most of it, but if you only work on that level, like if you don't bring certain stuff to your conscious level, like you're not going to know what you want unless you figure it out in some ways. So, or like what you're about, I guess. So I think it's just like a nice, I saw this thing as an activity when I was watching a video, that you can just Google values and like figure out what values are most important to you, because everyone is different at the end of the day. Like people value different things, and you know, some people just, yeah, value different things. So I picked out mine. So I'll go through them with you if you wish. Otherwise, if you're not interested in learning mine, then just a little idea. So mine were creativity, friendship, peace, religion, respect, and wealth. And then in my lesser wanted values, but they're still my values, because there was this list of like 30, and then in my lesser wanted values I got pleasure, spirituality, wisdom, and faith. And next to each of the values I put why. So if anyone cares to know, I've got creativity because I feel that's the way my brain works and it makes me feel special. This is probably just because I was really into like music and stuff when I was younger, and like making it and stuff, that kind of, I had a lot of reinforcement from other people being like, oh, you're so creative, you're like the creative one or whatever. Everyone has a level of creativity, but I definitely feel like I like to explore certain levels of creativity. Whereas some people are quite analytical minded, they're quite like mathematic, and just aren't massive on certain. So I think a lot of us can have similar interests, but I feel like creativity is something that I identify with as like an arty person rather than like a mathematical, logical person, or like because they're all generalizations, but I think it's just something that I identify with, and it's something that I like to keep close to my identity and my ego and myself, I suppose, just to be like, that's where I thrive rather than thriving in an office environment. Friendships is my second one. So I think just friendships are really important for health generally, and they're enjoyable, and they're, you know, people hopefully you can connect with on a level and have that sort of sense of belonging and joy and sort of, and yeah, just mutual understanding. I think belonging is one of our core needs and it's needed for life, so there we go. The next one I've got is peace, and I feel like this is a sign for me that I'm connected to God, and it shows for me that I'm either in balance, or if I'm not, it kind of makes me identify for what reason I'm not in balance, because I'm a person where my balance is a very important thing to me, but that wasn't on the list, so peace is the closest thing. I think peace says it better. Like I hate when, you know, I think my peace is one of my, as I've put, very core values. Therefore, if people try and disturb my peace, it really fucks me off. So yeah, if certain things, like obviously like not everything's going to go your way, like some stuff is going to come up, and it's just about like learning that balance for yourself and sort of figuring out what to do to change your situation in order to keep your peace alive. And I suppose, as I said, it was a sign of me being connected to God, I feel like, because I believe God brings us all our peace. The next one I'm going to talk about is religion, which, again, personal to me. Don't want to go into my whole religious past, but my personal connection to God, I don't really like talking about it now. So I have a past of bad religious experiences, but I've got it down now, and I'm sort of on my own path, and I go to it when I want. So respect is the next one. I just think respect keeps life healthy and makes it easy to take, like in some ways. Like, this is why it's just so challenging when people have personality issues sometimes, and I think it's just so hard when people like argue and stuff, because like, or just cause issues, because it really just take like, to be fair, some people don't want peace in life, and they don't, I don't know if they don't care about respect, maybe they don't respect themselves, so then they don't need respect or want respect from others. I honestly don't know. I would assume that everyone wants some level of respect, but I feel like respect just makes life easy to deal with. It makes it easier to take, because life is hard enough without people being disrespectful. And yeah, there we go. So respect is, it just like makes life a bit easier, so there we go. Wealth is the next one, but for this I put next to it, I don't need too much. I think just having enough, and it's okay to struggle with money sometimes, because I feel like we struggle in life. Obviously, if someone said to me like, do you want £1 million, I'd be like, yeah, but I'm also of the mindset that I'd rather invest my energy into things that, you know, give me a stable income, but at the same time I don't want to be working myself into the ground and working 80-hour weeks and giving up that amount of life for a massively excessive income so I can live in a mansion. Like, that's just not where I want to spend my energy. And I think, yeah, it's just about figuring out, because some people, like, I'm sure, like, if someone picked up the wealth value, that they'd be like, oh, I really want to live in a mansion and that's really important to me. And that is the case with some people. So for the other four values, I've got pleasure. I just feel like pleasure is just really important for like general mental health as well, in terms of it brings joy, stops the bad feelings. I feel like having a sense of pleasure, like, it just wards off like negativity sometimes. If you can take, I think it's just, I'm seeing how important it is to take time for happiness in your day. Not only relaxation, which is also really important, but happiness, which is separate, and doing things that make you happy. And it just brings, like, it stops the bad feelings, and it brings incentive for me, pleasure. Like, I'm like, oh, if I just, you know, I'm not really like this. It's kind of, I like to think about it like the Pavlov dog theory, where like you're, you know, like you can train yourself in certain ways. I don't like to think about it like fully like that to myself. I'm not like a dog. I'm not like, oh, if I, you know, go and have a shower, then I can go for a run. You know what I mean? If I go for a run, then I can have a... Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not quite like that, but I also do think it brings general incentive. Like, if you, even on a subconscious level, if you know that you enjoyed some really nice day out, you'll just be more incentivized to have another nice day out, and it's just, it can be that simple sometimes. The next one's spirituality, which I think is just important to explore. And I watched a video recently which someone put spirituality in the same boat as morals. And I feel like if you have like, spirituality is one thing in terms of tarot cards, in terms of, you know, holistic health, in terms of spirituality is just a massive realm, but I also see it in terms of morals and also well-being, a sense of peace, space. Like, I just feel like we're connected in a lot of different ways within our own bodies, and when we all have a spirituality center, we all have a bodily center. You know, sometimes, you know, stress and illness and stuff manifests in lots of different ways, either within the body, within the mind, you know, and spirituality is just important because it's another way of connecting to the world and leveling out. Like, I heard as well that, yeah, some people like are more spiritual than others, so let's just leave it that way. Wisdom is the next one. I feel like this is just a case of like, we all learn, we've all got this desire to learn. It's one of our needs. It's one of our, like, I saw this Wheel of Life thing where like people like need different stuff from life, in terms of like career, in terms of friendships, in terms of hobbies, in terms of career and all that type of stuff, and learning is one of them. So like, wisdom from that sense, I just think it's really important to do that, as I said at the beginning of this video, I think. And then faith is the last one. Just like I'm actually adapting different ways to keep this in my everyday life, and by faith I don't just necessarily mean religious faith. I do mean that at the core for me, because I'm religious, but at the same time, faith as in, it doesn't have to be religious faith. Like, it can be like, I've gone through this bad scenario, I've been through other things in the past, and mentalizing that and saying it won't, like these things will happen in the future. They are happening to me now, and I will get through it like I did last time. I'm having an unhappy period, but I've had an unhappy period in the past, and I've lived through it, and it's made me a different character of a person, and God has made me into that person, and I've come out of it different, you know, and it's all works itself out in the end. That sort of statement to sort of give you a bit of peace in the moment rather than sort of ruminating over the negative. So that's kind of the faith I'm talking about. If you have any that you care to share, feel free to do it in the comments. But yeah, I hope you found this interesting. Sometimes I'm just like, do people just give up? I think people will listen if they want to listen. If they don't, then they won't. I'm trying to spam the feed too hard. Thanks for listening. Bye.